Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to the late shift. Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss a moment of Hall of Fame College Football. Stevie G, staying warm, my guy? Hope you're good to go. Said, hope everyone's staying warm and safe in this snow weather. Man, it's snowing like crazy out here. As a matter of fact, I actually took a video outside. I'm here in New Mexico, where my mom's at, in Norman, and went outside and took a video of the all the snow out there. Let me pull it up real quick. Get back, Norman. Come here. So there's old Norman there. There's old Norm. What up there, Alston? All right. Back up. What's up? What's up? Nah, man, just wanted to do a quick call-in show. You guys can call in and talk about whatever we want. College football related, of course. I'm going to drop that invite into the chat real quick. We won't put your face up here. Trojan Fight. What's up, dude? Won't put your face up so you can call in and we can talk about whatever. Crucifix Autumn. Was Norm happy to see you? Yeah, man. He always is. He loves my mom, though. He's happy to be here with her. So, but he pretty much stays right next to me most of the time if he's not in the kitchen trying to find stuff to eat, like right now. Sit down. But yeah. What's up with everybody? How's the weather everywhere? Give me a check in on what it's like where you are. Where are you? Tell me where you're at. Tell me what the weather's doing there. While you do that, I will pull up this other stuff. What's up, Dave? Let's see. What's up, Dave's here. Tell everybody. We'll have everybody jump in here and let me know what the weather's like where you are. Hmm. Let's see. I'm gonna have to look for that real quick. Oh, there it is. It's a lot of snow for here. Oh shit! I'm gonna have to pull it up on the. I'm gonna have to handbrake it first. Washington State, 30 degrees, clear and dry. Yeah, lucky you, is no doubt. Right? Freezing here. Haven't seen this much snow in a long time here in Texas, says Trojan Fight. Norman, and it's very cold. Yes, right now where I'm at in Hobbs, New Mexico, and I left Norman right before it got nutty. Um, but here in Hobbs, it's 10 degrees. 10 degrees. Feels like two, it says. Yeah. Screw that shit. Some craziness. I told my mom we should go to Vegas where my son's at. She was like, "You can go." I'm like, "I'm gonna leave her here." I was pissed. It's like, damn it. Oh, let's see. Just do it that. There it is. Feels like -8 there. Oh shit. Pacific Northwest, pretty nice today. Chilly like around freezing. Oh, okay. Well, what up, goated sooner? What up? What do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? College football stuff. What do you want to talk about? We want to talk about Dabo complaining about Ole Miss and tampering. I thought that I've got some stuff I could say about that for sure. Um, We got snow last year in New Orleans. I guess it's Oklahoma's turn now. Oklahoma gets snow. It snows in Oklahoma. It's just not always this crazy. So Oklahoma definitely gets snow though. Definitely more than it gets like here in Hobbs. You'll get some cold weather, right? You'll get some cold weather and some dustings of snow. But there's quite a bit of snow for Hobbs, so it's pretty wild, really. All right, let's see. That's time. Let me have it. How bad is the hire of Gary Patterson? I don't think it's bad. I think it's a good hire, dude. Gary Patterson. You want defensive guru type dudes? He's that guy. Um, yeah, I can't really say anything bad about that. Now, does it work? Is the question, right? That'd be the question that I have. Does it work? And I don't know. Maybe it does. Um, I think the main thing you got to think of is that Lincoln's going to have to change his ways, and I don't know that he does that. Right? Um, here's a snow picture, a picture of the snow here, and well, here we go. I just walked out at the duplex here, or the fourplex here in New Mexico. Last night, whenever I took the dog out, man, it was starting to freeze already. But yeah, well, old sweaty Gary survived a year at SC. Feel sorry for all his shirts. He might. That three safety look. Yeah. Look, here's the thing I'll just say is that these guys, when it comes to Gary, the guy usually, I mean, he gets it done. So he's going to shut down some people. The run part is what you wait and see. I mean, you kind of have to wait and see how it all goes. But what the hell's going on? I don't know. To me, though, he's always had. I mean, if you look at some of the defenses that they put up there at TCU, I mean, out of calling defenses for 5 years, not really. 61 points to Baylor. Do you remember that Baylor team though? Do you remember that Baylor team? And then here's this one's kind of good. Now, Stephen G, remember this. Well, Gary Patterson went to Texas after he got fired, right? And he was supposedly just an analyst, but when they played their best, he was on the field with uh with the TCU game, their defense. I mean, TCU won the game, but it was because Texas couldn't get anything going offensively. Defensively speaking, I would tell you that the reason TCU went and played for the national championship that year was because of the fact that they had a lot of Gary Patterson's leftovers. They were able to bring some offense to the mix. What I would tell you that the problem with Gary was never really defense, it was offense. He had some guys that they'd have some good quarterbacks here and there and some guys that could really light it up, but he was going to shut you down a lot of the time. And he gave Lincoln a hard time for a while. But PK, as far as PK goes, I don't know how much I think of him. I think he's a good defensive coordinator, and I think that they probably could have went that direction, and it might have fit Lincoln, right? It might have fit what Lincoln tries to do. But I'm just going to tell you again, this isn't. I would tell you that don't let Lincoln Riley off the hook for being who Lincoln Riley is, and not being willing to put an offense on the field that's going to help his defense be successful as well. It can't always be about outscoring your opponent, just like over and over, just putting as many points on the board as you possibly can. Complimentary is the name of the game. Pride of Roselle, Kansas, says Neelio. What up, Neelio? You just missed on Norman. What are you chewing on? Give me that. Give me that. Oh. It's already chewing on my damn beanie hat. You think that PK fits in more? Maybe. What happened with PK then? What ended up happening there? Because all I kept hearing was that was already having it. That was already going to happen. That dog is already acting a fool. Come here. Hop up here. Come here. Come on. Bad dog. Bad dog. He's bad. Get back, get back, get back, get back. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Wow. They'll find a place for him, I'm sure. Yeah. In Rio Rancho, New Mexico? Yeah, Rio Rancho's different, man. It's a flooding place, man. You can't, they get snow there, but not a ton, right? But yeah. Salt trucks was a guy shoveling salt out of the back of a pickup. Correct. Satterfield! What up, dog? Yeah, he's a big boy. He's a big boy. Damn knucklehead dog. A guy shoveling salt out of the back of a pickup truck. That's some funny shit. Well, and it's weird because in Rio Rancho, I mean, they're up in the high country of New Mexico where they get snow. So it's weird, but they don't get as much of it there. More than, obviously whenever you get up in the mountains, the Northeast Heights and stuff like that up in Albuquerque is going to get a lot more of it. It's kind of like down in the valley where Rio Rancho's at. So that makes sense. It's kind of south, but not South Valley. I wouldn't call it South Valley, but it's definitely in the valley. Definitely in the valley. I don't know, how long did you live there? Is the story true that Michigan's planning to play Taylor Tatum at safety? No way. Are you serious? I'm gonna have to understand that. Why is that true? How did I miss this one? Speak to me about this one. Where did this come from, and why is this a thing all of a sudden? Because that would tell me that in that instance, you would figure that would help. That would have helped him maybe stay at Oklahoma because they love safeties and project guys and shit like that. I got a question here in a second. That's what I hear. Okay, people say he had hands like bricks. Yeah. All right. Here's what I'm going to tell you about Taylor Tatum when it comes to the fumble problem. I don't know about hands like bricks. I wouldn't call it that. I think that his fumble issues came after the significant, and I want to say significant concussion that he got against Tennessee. That first ever SEC game, not only did they give it to him, he got the concussion on one play, stays in the game. They hand the ball to him. He gets cleaned up. I mean, cracked. And their defensive line was the best defensive line in the SEC that year. That was the first year for Oklahoma in the SEC. Not only does nobody pay any attention to it, he gets back in the huddle. They call the same fucking play, run it again. He gets dinged up again. And now he's really doing that. It was after that that the fumbles started happening. Go back and look at it. He didn't have anything that was going wrong before that. And then all of a sudden he can't hold on to the ball. I'm not giving him excuses or anything like that, but the other part is he didn't get an opportunity this year for us to be able to tell you one way or the other. That's crazy though. Well, maybe Coach Wint knows what he's doing. I guess. I like Coach Whittingham. I think he knows what he's doing. But he was the number one running back in the country. In the country coming into college. And mind you, he didn't come in the springtime. He was a baseball player, so he played baseball there his senior year of high school. Um, and doesn't come until the summertime. Picks up the playbook quickly. He played in week 1 of the season despite not having been there during the spring. That's almost unheard of, guys. Almost unheard of. Oh, that's funny. Zofix, you're a dick. I like it though. He would solidly be the number 3 back, so I don't understand. I don't get it either. It's pretty wild. I got to tell you, it's pretty wild. I did not know that. It's definitely a pretty wild deal. But I'm just gonna, like I said, you got to trace some of that back to the concussion. You really do. You got to trace some of it back to the concussion, and we're talking about serious concussion. It was a real deal. He didn't play for a few weeks, and then when he comes back in is when he had a fumble. I don't know. Concerning is what I would say, especially with Justice Haynes leaving. That's what I thought. I thought with Justice leaving, what I'll tell you is there wasn't a guy on campus that was explosive as he was at running back until Torrey got there. Now Torrey, I would say, was, but up until that point, and if you go back and watch what he did in high school at Longview, and the we've talked about it, the legend of the kid is real deal, but he's a smooth runner, but you see him just destroy angles all day long. He's patient, but he makes a lot of big plays, and he can. You remember they talked about that he wanted to play he was willing to play a lot out of the backfield, catching footballs a lot. He was okay with playing receiver and things like that. That's something that people want like to forget about that because he was forgotten about in the offense. But I would tell you that I think a lot of that had to do with what was going on within the offensive staff. We want to sit here and blame players for the shit that happens to them in school all the way. And I don't think that you can do that. I really don't think that you can do that. Can Tatum meet X on the goal line? I want to see who wins. Hmm. Could happen. Could happen. When are you guys calling? Somebody call in. I won't put your face up there, but we can talk about it. Let's see. Pin the message there. Man, that snow is still up there? How come y'all didn't tell me? That's crazy. Y'all didn't tell me all that shit? Man, I gotta keep up with everything around here. I guess that could be it too. I'm just telling you, the guy has got all the tools to be an NFL running back. He does. He was 5 star as a running back, but only by he wasn't a consensus 5 star. He was a consensus high 4. He was definitely a top 100 guy. But it was as a running back, not as an athlete. But he could have been as an athlete. I mean, the thing is, here's what I would tell you about Tatum is that, like I said, the legends about him are crazy. Playing baseball and all that stuff. And I think he had a lot of, I don't remember the number, but he had a lot of leadoff home runs. He was like, you know, Ricky Henderson type of player, outfielder. And I know that they talk about they had a track meet going on. Their 4x100 team had a guy that was a scratch. Yeah, he was the number one running back in his class. Yes, he was. He was, and Texas was after him. SC was after him. Michigan was after him. Obviously, Oklahoma. There wasn't really anybody that wasn't going after him. I think Georgia was on him pretty heavy as well for a while. Um, LSU was heavy on him as well. I mean, he was sought after, bro. Sought after. At the end, it was down to Michigan, or no, it was down to Oklahoma, SC, and Texas. Yeah. Thoughts on OU's Friday night news? Yeah, I was gonna bring this up. I don't care about that. I'm gonna tell you what I said. First thing I said to my mom about the AD hire. It has nothing to do with football. From everything that I've heard, it has nothing to do with football. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. But as far as baseball is concerned, yeah. So the story about let me just finish this story real quick. And some of you have probably already heard it a number of times. But somebody from their 4x100 relay team goes down before the race. They're not going to have him in. They run over to the ballpark, ask him to come and run in one of the legs of it. He goes out there. They win the race. He runs back to the ballpark, changes back into his uniform, leads off the game with a home run. And apparently his split was unreal in the 100. Lincoln wanted him bad, so they stopped recruiting Nate Frazier that went to Georgia. Correct. Correct. Bro, I'm telling you, go back and watch the dude's film from high school. It was unreal. It was unreal. So, yeah. And I don't know. Look, I would tell you that I feel like that concussion stuff never really went away from him while he was, at least for that all of last year. Because I don't think he played very much once the baseball season rolled around in his first year. Now, granted, Oklahoma's baseball team is loaded with talent, so there's a lot of reasons why maybe he didn't get to play, as good as he is or has been. We're talking about from everything I've heard, he's been like an early round draft pick and stuff like that in the Major League Baseball draft. Of course, they can be in the draft over and over again, but it seems like he would have played. Now, I don't know what Michigan's like in baseball. Maybe he'll get an opportunity to play right away there. I think that'll make him happy. He wasn't going to go anywhere that they weren't going to let him play baseball. So, but it may have hurt his chances. What I know is at that same time, so they also had the linebacker coming to Oklahoma, and he was also a baseball player and a pitcher. From everything that I understand, is his playing this next season was all kind of contingent on them giving up baseball. Lincoln was okay with it with Kyler. I think Coach Stoops was okay with it with Kyler. And up until he chose football and went into the NFL draft, I think the consensus around Kyler Murray was that he wasn't going to play football. He was a first round draft pick in baseball. He was a top 15 draft pick in baseball. Guy that could throw strikes from the warning track and, shit like that. He was a stud. So, yeah, Big Ten baseball is minor leagues. Compared to the SEC, it certainly is. But I would just tell you that, yeah, he could definitely help. He'll definitely help in that area. I just think that his best days are certainly ahead of him. I just don't understand the safety stuff. I don't get that. I think it's silly. Where are we at on the likes? You guys hitting the like button? Come on, man. We got 30 something people, only 9 likes. Hit the like button. Come on. I will give you that one. The career choice or whatever, it's a great career choice. I agree with that. It's a great career choice. Guarantee contracts, long careers. You don't have to be, you can sign that contract and take the rest of the time off, and they're still going to have to pay you. Only Deshaun Watson got away with that shit in the NFL. Well, let's go to this one. Taking over for Jerry Schmidt. I think that was a good plan. That one had to happen. Everything that I've been hearing about, and this, I don't know, it's his chief of staff. What is that? Honorary title type of shit. Um, I don't know what that was about, but I think Schmidt's process is outdated, and then some. I'm just going to put it that way. His process is outdated, and then some. I think that as much as we talk about the medical staff and the problems within the medical staff at Oklahoma, I think that as much as anything, it had to do with the fact that Schmidt's Schmidt and his staff, maybe, and maybe Dobson. I know he's not. This is what he's only been there a year or two, right? I don't think he's necessarily a Schmidt guy, but my opinion is that it was time for him to move on. Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it that way. He ruined it for everyone. I follow some of the young baseball prospects as an avid baseball fan, and I do remember Tatum as a mid to later round baseball prospect out of Longview, which is with a pretty high upside. Right, right. Yeah, the AD side of it. I from everything that I've heard, Satterfield is that it's a play on Olympic sports, basketball, baseball, and softball. I mean, his job is going to be to take care of that side of things. I don't think that they need that help. They've got the whole NFL model is now intertwined in the football program. They've got a general manager that's in charge of the roster. They've got a CEO type that in Randall Steven, um, president of operations, whatever you want to call it. The AD is kind of out of it. I think for everything that I've heard, and that came from that's what been hearing from Mr. Mason. I'm sure we'll talk more about that here in the upcoming week. My guess is like the Monday night show. I'm sure you'll get a lot of information on that out of him and K. Chris. I might even pop into that one just to get in on some of that conversation. But because I haven't been talking to anybody in the last couple of days, obviously with traveling and being here where it's crazy weather. But Sooner Scoop said a long time ago they would think about moving him since of the injuries. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can see that. But as far as the new AD, I think that everything you hear and read about him, I don't know of him. I don't know the guy. Um, I'll run through some of his stuff. Maybe I've been around him at some point, or maybe I know of him, but I don't. I can't remember him as anybody that has made an impression on me or anything in the time that I've been around college sports. But not a lot of ads did really, to be quite honest with you. Some of them did, um, but obviously Joe C being being around that, and then with Gerald Myers at Texas Tech. Whenever I was covering Tech, you had a pretty good relationship with Gerald. Um, the ads that they had at Texas as well. I mean, I kind of knew them, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, he's going to be the AD is going to be more in charge of what's going on in other sports outside of football. I don't think it makes a difference for Oklahoma football. That's all I'm going to say. So if he can continue to um, help the rest of the programs be impactful, that's cool. That's good. How about Aaliyah Chavez and the Sooner women taking out South Carolina the other day? Wow. What a game. What a game. She's unbelievable. Well. Do we really hard after your strength and conditioning former Tremaine Carroll for a few weeks? Okay. He was able to make Illinois' athletic department operate in the green, one of the few in the nation that can say that. Yeah. I mean, that came at the same time that, the big infusion of cash from Fox, though, came into there. I mean, that's cool. His replacement also went to USC this offseason. I don't know about all that stuff. I don't care about that. All right. So what about I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Let me grab this real quick. I'm going to I gotta get this Dabo the Dabo bullshit that he had to say, and we'll kind of jump into that a little bit. I think it's hilarious. Thought it was pretty funny. If you think CFB is broken right now, you should be supporting Dabo. What a joke, dude. Give me a fucking break. All right. Let me do this.
Sorrells confirmed. He went with the agent. He said, "Are you talking about the same Luke that's been enrolled? Enrolled at Clemson? That's been in class? That's moved here? That's signed with Clemson?" And the agent assured him, "Yes, the same one." But he also assured Jordan Sorrells that Luke had no intention of leaving Clemson, but just thought y'all should be in the loop and check up on him tomorrow. So Thursday, January 15th at 11:45 a.m., just this past Thursday, Jordan came to me and he told me about the conversation that he had the night before with the agent at 9:49. And so I directed Sorrells, "Hey, you reach," I don't know. I said, "Who's their GM?" He said his name is Austin Thomas. I said, "Will you reach out to their GM?" He said he knows him. And I said, "Listen, this guy has been a head coach for 4 weeks." I said, "You reach out to the GM. I'm going to give him some grace. And you let him know that we know what's going on, all right? And if he doesn't cease communication, I'm going to turn him in." And so I really thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. So after that was 11:45. At 12:10, Jordan communicated to Austin Thomas via text because he was unable to reach him on the phone. And just a few minutes later, at 12:14, they both connected on the phone. The Ole Miss GM, Austin Thomas, and Jordan reiterated our stance one more time. The GM assured Jordan that he had communicated to the agent that he wanted no part of this and that his relationship with Jordan was more important to him than Luke Ferrelli. But that Pete Golding just does what he does, quote, unquote. So at 1:30, Sorrells met with Luke face-to-face in his office. And Luke communicated to Jordan and to Ben Boulware that Pete texted him on Wednesday morning, the head coach at Ole Miss, when he was in his 8 a.m. class. And he said, the text message said, "I know you're signed. What's the buyout?" And he also, Luke said that Coach Golding also texted him a picture of a $1 million contract. Luke also mentioned to Jordan and to Ben that Coach Golding had Trinidad Chambliss call him from his phone, and that Coach Golding was there continuing to talk on his phone to push him to re-enter the transfer portal. He also said that Jackson Dart had reached out and called him. But Luke again assured Jordan that he had no intention of leaving. And Jordan kept me in the loop and told me the same thing. So we had a staff meeting on Friday morning, January the 16th, the last day of the portal. At 11:20, Luke called Ben Boulware and told him that Mississippi had reached out again, even though I had kind of let them know the day before, had reached out again, and they had not only reached out, but they had upped and doubled their offer. But Luke told Ben, hey, it's all, we're good. And so Ben told Luke to come to the office and see Sorrells and Coach Sweeney and let them know, hey, everything is okay. So when that was over, Ben then texted Jordan Sorrells, and he let him know that Ole Miss had raised its offer to 2 years, $2 million. And again, that he had told Luke to come over and see us and let us know that everything is good. So at 11:57, so 11:20, Luke called Ben. 11:22, he texted Jordan this. At 11:57, Sorrells spoke with the agent Ryan Williams about the situation once again. The agent confirmed that head coach Pete Golding had continued to communicate with Luke and had raised the offer once again. Jordan asked to have Luke to give us the text messages that he had received from Coach Golding, but the agent was hesitant to do that because he didn't want to burn any bridges with Ole Miss, as you never know what will happen down the road. However, the agent communicated that if we were to add a second year at $1 million to the already agreed upon deal with Luke, then they would gladly give us whatever we need in order to turn Ole Miss in. Which Jordan appropriately said, no, we're not doing that. He also communicated that Ole Miss Assistant Director of Player Personnel, I guess it's J-A-I, C-H-O-U-D-A-R-Y, Shortery, I'm not sure. But the Assistant Director of Player Personnel was pushing to set up a Zoom call with them to discuss the details of their contract offer. So that was at 11:57, talking to the agent. At 12:30, Sorrells met Luke out in the parking lot outside our football facility, and Luke communicated that he was coming to assure him and Coach Sweeney that he wasn't going anywhere. I was not in the building. Jordan called me to let me know what Luke said and for me to reach out to him. I called Luke and didn't get an answer. I'm back at work. I'm in my office. Everything's good. 4:14, Jordan Sorrells comes to see me. He had gotten a call from compliance telling him that Luke is in our compliance office trying to request to re-enter the transfer portal. So Jordan let me know. He let Tom Allen know. Called Luke, no answer. At 4:19, Jordan called the agent Ryan Williams again to alert him that Luke had requested to enter the portal. He responded via text to let him know that he was flying. Sorrells texted, Luke just reached out to our compliance and requested to go in the portal. What the heck is going on? The agent's response was, oh, bleep. Let me try and find out.
All right. So essentially, you were asking me to summarize it. Let me summarize it for you a little bit. So linebacker Luke Farrelly, who had entered the portal after the 2025 season at California, he had committed to Clemson, signed a deal, and enrolled, even started classes. Shortly after, Ole Miss renewed contact with Farrelly, allegedly after he was already enrolled at Clemson, and ultimately convinced him to flip his commitment to the Rebs. Um, Dabo, obviously, as you saw there, was blasting Ole Miss and specifically Pete Golding, accusing them of blatant tampering with Farrelly at a time he was already part of Clemson's program. As you were seeing there, he was claiming that Golding texted Farrelly during class, asked about his buyout, and showed a financial offer to lure him back into the portal. Swinney says Clemson has filed a formal complaint with the NCAA alleging Ole Miss continued inappropriate recruiting tactics even after Farrelly was signed and enrolled. Um, of course, he's saying that the beef isn't just about one player. He used the situation to attack the broader transfer portal practices and saying that the current rules are broken, enforcement's weak. This is nothing new for Dabo and what he feels about the portal and all that other shit. He also doesn't like paying players. He's furious because they thought they had him locked up. And Ole Miss came in late to the party, but this is definitely, to me, when we start talking about this kind of stuff, and you guys know that I'm always going to err on the side of the player, right? And especially in view of the fact that the complaints that Dabo has here, I mean, yeah, you can be pissed off at Farrelly for the way that he handled this, right? Um, but the truth is, these are the adults in the room, and I mean, they're all adults at this point. They're all 18 and over, whatever, if you want to put it that way. But we're talking about guys that have been around the block a hell of a lot longer than one of these kids has, than one of these players, athletes, and you know, there's they're playing the game differently these days. There are no rules. Tampering is just a word when it comes to it because there's nothing that the NCAA has either put into place or to stop any of it. They don't want to go to collective bargaining, which would put an end to a lot of this kind of stuff. They don't want to do that. You can assure yourself that the schools and the conferences and the NCAA, for that matter, are not gonna submit to collective bargaining where the players have say in what the rules are that they go by. That's just not going to happen, folks. Um, you know, in my opinion, look, this is par for the course that Dabo is out here, leading the charge against it because he's not happy with it. He hasn't been happy with it. When they started losing after they started playing the portal game a little bit last year, they started, they went and got some guys in the portal to kind of short some things up on the offensive line. They did the same with the defense. It wasn't like, it wasn't as heavy as some programs have been, but it was certainly considerable when you look at what they had done in the years prior, which is nothing in the portal. They'd lost guys in the portal. They weren't making additions in the portal. As far as what they were paying guys, there's a lot of differing opinions out there that, I could guarantee you that players weren't just going to Clemson for the love of the game, you know, even before the NIL and all that other shit got thrown into the kitty. I can assure you that that was all going on and they were paying guys. And so they've been paying guys. Yeah, the situation is that he's gone. That Farrelly is at Ole Miss. He's going to play there. They're trying to make it to where he's not eligible, I would think. But in the end, nothing's going to happen here. They don't have any recourse for any of it. That's why, when we talk about that there's only one portal period now and all the things that you want to do to fix college football, and whether it be the playoffs and starting the, Pate's got his big, uh let's do it this way. Let's start a week before let's start in week 0 instead. I've heard ideas about having bowl season at the start of the season, and you could have memorable games that nobody's going to opt out of. Good luck with that when it comes to getting the bowls to agree to it. There's a lot of that kind of stuff, but in the end, a lot of this is going to continue to be a pain in the ass because we've already seen the stuff with the Washington quarterback where he had already signed. Now he ended up back at Washington for whatever reason. I think it all boiled down to it wasn't going to work out very well for him at LSU. As you saw, Kiffin ended up getting 3 guys, to go ahead and become part of the program there at quarterback. So spent an awful lot of money, to get those 3 guys at quarterback. It feels like the 2 guys are probably fighting for the backup position and to be moving forward. Sam Levitt's probably the starter if you look at it from at least in the view of the guys that are covering the program at LSU. But in the end, I think that they haven't gotten enough on the offensive line for them to really be as good as I think that they think they're going to be. Dabo hates everything about the portal. Absolutely. That's definitely the biggest thing that you should take away from what Dabo has to say here. Yes, he's pissed off about the Ferrelli thing. And maybe rightfully so. I'm not even saying that he's wrong in that, right? Ole Miss, if you're looking at it in terms of what's doing things, there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things. I think by and large, you could say, yeah, that's kind of shady. Yeah. Is it not going on everywhere? It's going on everywhere. LSU, as a matter of fact, I mean, don't get it twisted. They didn't get everybody that they thought they were going to get out of Ole Miss, but they already had 2 guys signed at Ole Miss, and LSU ended up luring away from that, and they ended up with a buyout. Now, according to what I understand with the Dabo situation with Ferrelli, is he hadn't signed anything. He had signed a quote scholarship paperwork, but there wasn't any deal for NIL. There wasn't any deal for rev share that was signed. So probably nothing is going to happen here. Nothing. Yes, Daughters Gene. Correct. Absolutely. Very well said. Curious if it's similar to the Duke situation with their quarterback. My understanding is they got a court order saying the kid couldn't re-enter the portal. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how well that goes over either, because you can easily go and file. If you're Darian Mensah, you can go and file something in Florida or whatever that says that you can. That's a mess. I think that they're taking it now. I'll tell you this is that Duke is actually taking it pretty deep in that, Miami was willing to pay them a buyout. Absolutely willing to pay a buyout. So we'll kind of see how that ends up working out. But yeah, why couldn't OU get the car of Jordan Seaton? They're not going to put that much money up for him. I think that they're happy. Well, and especially in view of the fact that they've got not just Michael Fasusi at that same position that he plays, which is left tackle. They've also got guys over the next couple of recruiting classes that are high ranking, going to be in that position as well, coming up behind him. I don't think they feel like they needed him. Yeah. Celeste Mo is 4 classes into early enrollment at Utah, transfers to Michigan. Yeah. Yep. Yep. We haven't talked about Owen Heineke still not knowing if he gets an extra year or not. I think it's pointing to that they're not trying to give it to him at this point. But I think a lot of it Well, what's going to happen with it looks like that injunction is probably going to go through for Trinidad Chambliss. My guess is that they're trying to see if there's a way that they don't get screwed in the courts, the NCAA that is, before they make the decision on it or whatever. But it seems like it's going to have to come pretty soon. It's like something's going to have to come pretty soon. But Ohio State hires Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator. That got something else. Jordan Seaton, he ended up he's going to LSU now, right? It took Devontae Walker, UNC wideout, 3 weeks into the year to know if he would get to play or not. That's correct. That's correct. Mm-hmm. We don't need a CSC. We just need an open market. Oh, goody! We get to hear the we get to hear the billionaire side of things from Big Lubbock. Look, man, I'm kind of over all of this. In my opinion, there's a lot of screaming and yelling, but only when it's something that benefits that particular person or screws it. Dabo was playing the game in the portal again, or not again, but deciding to start playing the game in the portal because it suits him to do so and be able to win again. Dabo Swinney is in trouble for his job. They went from making the playoff, albeit kind of squeaking in there, but being an early, Josh Pate had them winning the national championship coming into the season. And they went and shit all over themselves with a lot of dudes coming back. The number one ranked quarterback in the country was back. They had all those receivers that did really good things as freshmen. They had at least 2 or 3 of them that were really good. The thought is with Coach Luke there as an offensive line coach, they were going to be better there, going to be better in the running back room, and they just weren't. Their defense did not get better. It got worse under Tom Allen. And you heard him, a lot of what he was saying, there's been talk about Dabo saying things like, yeah, here we are paying these players, and this is the results we get. Blaming it on the players again, never about Dabo. It never is about Dabo. Correct. So, to me, it's, yeah, you lied to us, Dabo. Yeah, Dabo said that he would rather leave the game than play the game that way. And here he is playing it that way, except for now he's unhappy about it again. He's going to be in deep shit. And they owe him a lot of money. I think they owed him $60 million going into this past season. He's an $11, $12 million a year guy as it is. I think he was number 2 in the country behind. I want to say he was right behind maybe what Kirby was making. Then, of course, Lane's in there with him as well. So it's going to be, he may have it into his contract that he has to make more money than anybody but maybe Kirby Smart, or maybe it's vice versa. I don't know. But they're all going to be right in that same area in the top 3. But regardless, they're not going to continue paying Dabo that way when they're not winning in the ACC. They're just not going to do it. And he hasn't proven that he can do anything without Brent Venables there as his defensive coordinator. And for that matter, you could say the same thing about Virginia's head coach that was the offensive coordinator. Tony Elliott. So it is what it is. Venables is going to leave regardless if he didn't get the OU job. Dabo's pride and ego is like Walter White's at this point. Wow, Walter White, huh? BV had to had to have smelt the smoke before the fire got to this point. No, I don't think Venables was going to leave there regardless. I think that he was only leaving for Oklahoma. He turned down the job at Auburn the year before, or when they gave it to what's his name? They got screwed by Auburn, by the way. What was that dude's name? It'll come to me. Anyway, he turned out that one down. He turned down K State twice. Uh, he wanted one job as a head coach, and it was Oklahoma. And if he wasn't going to get that, he wasn't going to take one. I think that he was happy at Clemson. I think he still loves Clemson. I think that it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever at all if they part ways with Dabo Swinney. They are going to go after. They're going to go after Brent, and that could happen during this season. Get ready for there to be. If they start off badly at Clemson and it starts looking like, they're going to get rid of him. Yeah, I was talking about Brian Harsin. Thank you, Austin. Um, if it starts poorly for Clemson this season, and I don't really foresee them having Dabo walk in season, but they could have a deal with him to where this is the last year. And if that happens, make no mistake, Brent Venables' name will be in the middle of that from minute one, and it will not stop no matter what he says or what he does throughout the rest of that season. It will be a shit show in Norman, too, with it. It will be a shit show in Norman, too. Yeah. Top 5 or 6 job. It is. It is. Of course, you don't think they have it? You don't think they have it? And here's the thing: why I would tell people to be careful about saying things like "There's no way he would take that job." There is a way he would take that job. He loves Clemson. Number one, I think that there's something to be said that he wouldn't want to do that because of Dabo and what he thinks about Dabo, their friendship, their all that, right? His loyalty to Dabo, which we've already seen, is probably a little out there, right? What's up, my guns? Um, but I would tell you this: I don't think that he's as the thing about Brent is he's not as safe at Oklahoma as people might think that he is, just because they went 10-2 and made the playoff this year. They got beat in the first round of the playoff again. He has not won a postseason game yet. I'm still of the belief that bowl games don't mean shit unless they're playoff games, but he hadn't won one. And I mean, you guys have seen there's people in here that bring that up all the time, that he hasn't won a postseason game yet. So the other part of it is that Texas game is starting to look very bad on Brent Venables. He's 1-3. I think that 1-4 is not out of the realm of possibility, because I don't think that they're going to beat Texas until I can see them do it. I have a hard time believing they will. The 3 losses that he has, Oklahoma doesn't have a touchdown in those games. Not a single touchdown. And the problem is certainly on the offensive side of the ball. And what it's starting to look like is that you've traded a coach that did nothing but offense for a coach that does nothing but defense and is indifferent to the offense at that. That is going to get old really, really. It's already old for a lot of people. And if you lose that game, week 6 of the season, again, and it's not a tight, down to the wire football game, and you've put some points on the board with your offense, not to mention the fact you're coming off of a game with Georgia, who's to say how that one goes. You've got Michigan on the road before either of those games. You could be staring at a 3-loss Oklahoma team following the Cotton Bowl. That's hot. That seat is burning at that point. Burning. Maybe they beat Michigan. It's on the road and against the Whittingham team, so that's going to be a tough win. But maybe they have the talent to do it. Maybe they do. They're going to have to play some offense. I'll tell you that. They're going to have to play some offense. Do they have it? Sure they do. Sure they do. They do. What they're not going to do is give it. What they haven't been. Look, if the donors and the Clemson donors, and I think what Neilio's talking about, it makes a lot of sense. Do they trust Dabo with that kind of cash within that athletic department? Probably. I mean, why would they? And maybe they've tried to give it to him in the past, and he's not accepted it. He wants to continue doing what they do with their facilities, which Clemson's facilities are second to none. Nobody beats them in facilities and stuff like that. I'm not saying they're going to be 0-3. I'm saying that there's a world that they have 3 losses after that game. You've got to go on the road to Georgia, you've got to go on the road to Michigan, and you've got to go to the Cotton Bowl and play a team that you haven't beaten in the last 2 seasons and hadn't had a touchdown against. And they're going to look a lot better at Texas with the guy like Cam Coleman along. They already have Trey Wingo there. And then now you bring in a guy like Cam Coleman, Hollywood Smothers running the ball. Look, I'm just saying. There's a world in which Brent Venables' seat heats up really quickly this season. There really is, and do I think that they can bounce back from this? I would think. I mean, I would hope so. My concern and here's where I feel like, and this is what I've said a lot, is that you look at having Kevin Wilson in the fold there. If they lean on Kevin Wilson the way that they should lean on Kevin Wilson and have him along with Big Bill, build a game plan, build a running game plan to where they can run the football, not John Mateer football running, but a running game with your running backs. If they can get a game plan that works, then I think that Oklahoma can be right there in the mix of everything for the national championship, all that stuff. Because defensively speaking, they're going to be able to play with anybody. They're going to be able to shut down, for the most part, any offense that you throw at them, or at least keep them below their averages. And your job and that's where it comes into where you have to lean on this, guys. And this is where it's time for Brent Venables to become a flat out head coach. It has to happen. Now, I would also say that could be the one thing that keeps Clemson from really pursuing him too. As much as I think that they believe in Brent, if they start off slowly like that, then Clemson probably isn't coming after him, right? Because he's going to have to prove that he's a real head coach. He's going to do everything for the entirety of the football team. That's what I think. Michigan having an actual football coaching staff might be more challenging. I would absolutely agree with that. I think they're stupid challenging, ridiculously challenging. I think they're really good. I think they were really good with Sharon as their head coach. I think they were already really good. I think that you bring in the staff that Witt brought in, and make no mistake, they're going to be you're going to have to play smart football. They're going to expect you to do that. They're going to be hard-nosed. They're going to run the shit out of the ball. And they have a quarterback coach, that kind of situation where they can actually bring up Bryce Underwood in a way conducive for him to have success. I don't think that they'll be afraid to let Bryce Underwood do his thing like I think Sharon was. I expect a lot of good things. Again, I like the idea that Oklahoma gets them early, because whatever's going to happen with Michigan is, as the season goes along, I expect Michigan to get a lot better, right? But being at home in the big house, that's a tough environment. Having a defense, they're going to have that. And Oklahoma's going to have to go in and prove that they can put some points on the board with it as well, and protect the football as well. So yeah, I think it's a tough. I think it's a tough matchup. That's just a tough matchup. I don't know about all that. What up, Prof? What you doing? Are you working? Come in here and talk to me. If not, the link is pinned. Yeah, they do. Do we have a dedicated quarterback coach? They do. They do. He's been with the guy for 3 years already. So I don't know how much we're going to see John Mateer improve in his mechanics and some of that other shit. But again, I think that this is what it boils down to Brent Venables at this point. When it comes to Oklahoma, it's up to Brent to stop being, and this is my feelings on it. It's been my feeling on it for a while. You have to stop being indifferent to the offense that you run. Stop it. You have to decide that it's just as important as you running your own defense. I think that Brent's defensive staff way good enough for him to take a step back as far as running the defense and and lean on those guys to get that done and spend more time and attention on your offense. That's my feelings. Come in first. Come in first, then you can do it. You got time, bro. Shut up. You're always up all night. Come on. Needs to stop trying backflips. Don't start with me on this. Yeah. The SEC doesn't want to break away from anything. There's a lot of bullshit talk going out there. Um, you know, that's not factual. That's why I didn't really acknowledge it. Sticking with a 12-team playoff doesn't, and I'll be honest with you, that doesn't hurt the SEC's feelings at all. I think it hurts the Big Ten's feelings. I think everybody's acting like this is bothersome to the SEC. It isn't. If SEC breaking away is how things were until 1995 or so, anyhow. The SEC is not going anywhere, folks. The SEC is not going to stop being the best division, the best league in the country either. It may not be the best at the top. I'll give you that. Somewhat, I'll give you that. There's some things that the SEC definitely needs to work on as far as what are you going to do to get back and win a national championship? Absolutely. I don't know. Yeah, that's died down because they didn't do shit on offense. They were one of the worst offenses in the SEC. As far as the position coaches getting tapped for DCs or head coaching jobs somewhere, I think Nate Dreiling might be one of those guys that goes as a head coach pretty soon. Brendan Hall, I don't really think wants to do that. I think he's happy. Uh, he could have been the defensive coordinator already. I think that was something that they had approached him about. That he's been a DC in the past. Everything I've heard is he's happy with doing it the way he's doing it. Um, when it comes to, I mean, Todd Bates, maybe a head coach's job, maybe a DC job, but he's the co-DC assistant head coach. I can see him going and being a head coach, but I don't know how, I don't think that's something that's really, I foresee that happening if Oklahoma wins a national championship. Then you're going to start seeing more of that. Um, the rest of them, I don't know that I would. Wes Goodwin, maybe, yeah, possibly. The rest of them, no, not so much. Yeah. This is the most. I'm surprised this is the first time we've really brought this up. Not going to the 16 team just assured that Notre Dame's going to get in the top 12, and with Notre Dame not playing in the not playing Southern Cal anymore right now, you have to take a look at that schedule and say what puts them in the top 12. I almost feel like they can't afford to have more than one loss anymore if they're going to be in that position. Because the schedule next year, let's take a look at it. It's not great. It's not great. Let's see. I mean, Wisconsin, Rice, Michigan State, at Purdue, at North Carolina, Stanford, at BYU. So in their first 2, 4, 6, 7 games, they've got one that okay. Then they have the week off. They go to at Navy. Navy's been good, but they're not that good. Then they play Miami at home, Boston College, SMU at home, at Syracuse. I mean, with that schedule, now you obviously a top 10 BYU team preseason. We'll see how that works itself out. Miami, you expect should still be really good. SMU, I don't know what I think about them. But that's three ranked opponents as we sit here today. Lots of shit can happen in between now and then. But out of those three, if you lose to two of those teams, then let's assume that they stay ranked. If you lose to two of those teams, then you've got one win against a team that really, really? I think that hurts. Absolutely. Hey, he's the first guy I thought of, Emilio. The first guy I thought of was Nate. As far as asking that question, I think he's the. I mean, and I think that obviously Goodwin, uh, he's along those lines as well. I would think, but I think Nate Dreiling. I mean, well, he was already head coach, interim head coach twice. So, and he was gonna. I think he was gonna stick it out at. Was it Utah State or Nevada? One of those two, something like that. Anyway, Nate, and everything I've heard is that he's fucking unbelievable as a coach. So yes, I think that he's a guy. Yep. They can, I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Notre Dame scheduling, and I don't know that they can really do much about this. I think that, people talk about that they've scheduled way out in advance and all that kind of stuff. I think you can fix some of them things. But I think that right now you're getting a lot of this Notre Dame fatigue stuff where you're getting people that are pissed off about it, right? Hate it. Um, because they're not in a conference. I don't really give a shit about that one way or the other. I think that they can carry it, but here's the deal: if they don't continue, let's see, because their deal with the ACC, I don't know how helpful that is to them. They essentially, if you look at that schedule, the SEC teams that they're playing is not like the best of the best ACC teams. North Carolina, okay, Stanford, yuck. They've got Miami. They've got no Clemson. They don't even have Pitt this year. They don't have no Georgia Tech. SMU. I mean, okay, but come on, that's shitty. Syracuse. Their SEC schedule is essentially after their bye week in October. It, they really you would have to hope that they're able to like win both of those games in the second half to guarantee yourself that you're getting in. And that's if they were to lose on the road at BYU, which is not on the road at BYU is for nobody ever going to be a pushover game. Never. You can be sure that that game is at nighttime in Provo. They don't lose those games. Almost never. Yeah. Yeah, Nate's a good, and he was before that. He was the interim head coach at New Mexico State when Coach Kill and those guys left. I've hated them since the mid '80s. Yeah, I can see that. If you're a Michigan fan, you would. You know, in the end, at the end of the day, what's going to have to happen is, and here's the deal: Do I really believe? Do I really believe that the big boy teams in the Big Ten, aside from USC, and I don't know that I mean, I called them a big boy team loosely, okay, loosely. But the big boy programs like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, whatever, if Notre Dame comes calling to play them, are they going to be able to turn it down? I don't think they do. I don't think they do. Um, we know that they play Auburn coming up. They're playing Texas in a few years. I know that Oklahoma would be happy to play them. You know, bro. They when OU beat them, we were happy that that was a daytime game a few years back. And Dylan Gabriel's last year, and it still wasn't an easy game. But I watched them beat the shit out of Texas in Provo when I was still living in Vegas, and I know that they had beaten Oklahoma there in the past. They beat Oklahoma in a neutral site game in Jerry World that year. That's got Sam Bradford hurt in that game. So Michigan's scheduled for 30 and 31. There you go. You know, yeah, no, it's look and make no mistake. Here's the deal about BYU that people try to act like this is it's not a big time program. He, look, first of all, they've got a big time head coach. You can say what you want about Kalani Sitake and his Pop Tart eating and all that other shit at the bowl game. The dude is a real deal head coach, first and foremost. But even more important than that is they are committed to winning at BYU. They have always been committed to winning at BYU. Going back to Lavelle Edwards. Look, they have money, lots of money. And they're willing to go out there and get those guys. Basketball too. Number one player in the country they went out and got in basketball this past year. They've got that one of the top quarterbacks, that's going to go on his mission and all that stuff next year. And they started with a young guy this year. I don't think BYU is getting worse. They're going to get better. And being in a power conference, quote unquote power conference, the Big 12 is what it is. But we'll kind of see how that goes. Hold on real quick there. I've got a caller. Just see. Just a second here. Can you hear me, Austin? You'll have to unmute yourself. All right, cool. I'll have you come in. Let's see. All right. Welcome into the show, Austin Tyler. What's up, man? What you got?
Not man, it's cool. It's pronounced Elston, but you just call me Al. I used to just write Al. That's probably know what that is.
Al?
Yeah,
Okay. All right, cool.
yeah, yeah. But no, just to add on and say BYU, they got a. I think Solani's tight. I think he's a great coach, and BYU got a lot of money. People don't realize they got a lot of money. It's
Yeah, they're
Mormon,
loaded.
but it's Mormon money, but it's a lot of money.
It don't matter what kind of money it is.
Right,
It still
exactly.
spins, bro. It still spins, and people don't realize that the LDS Church is big. It's
Oh,
a,
what?
you know,
Man,
you look at it the way I've always kind of compared them to Notre Dame. Was that Notre Dame is that Catholic? It's the Catholic team that all around the world Catholics love Notre Dame and they follow Notre Dame, and it's why people watch Notre Dame the way that they do. And
exactly.
the same thing holds true for BYU. It's not maybe on that level of Notre Dame, but it ain't that far off. And I mean, there's nobody else that you think of when you think of that church but BYU. So they have a big following, man. They have a big following and they got a lot of money behind them. They're able to go out there and get those guys.
Yeah, like because when he was in the contract negotiation, I think is the guy that Crumble Cookie somebody. He was like, "Oh, I'm not doing my job," and he goes and just like, "Okay, here's some more money." I
Yeah.
thought that was like, I thought that was the funniest thing ever. So yeah, and Notre Dame's schedule, hey, it is what it is. Notre Dame. I mean, I think Indiana did the same thing. I think Cincinnati took like Virginia Tech off and put Old Dominion on. He was
Yeah, I
like,
know
I don't care.
it wasn't even Old Dominion. It was that they did put Old Dominion, but they took Virginia Tech off and in favor of that new shit. What was the name of that school? I always
I
forget
think I
it
know
now,
what you're talking about.
but they're new to FBS, new to FBS.
Right,
So
right. And Cincinnati was like, I don't care. Then he go wins the title, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But
hmm
man,
yeah, no doubt about it. And I think when it comes to Notre Dame, I mean, make no mistake. The other deal is that Fox and ESPN and the SEC and the Big Ten, they know that it doesn't help them and it doesn't help the bottom line to cut Notre Dame out of this shit. It does not. Make no mistake, they wanted to cut Miami instead. They really wanted to cut Miami instead. BYU being what they were and losing the way that they did to Texas Tech made them. I mean, they were that was a stupid thing to say that they weren't comparing Notre Dame and Miami until they had them right next to each other because they didn't feel like I've never heard of anything like that before. But that was them coming up for a reason why they could go with Notre Dame instead of Miami. When BYU gets drugged the way that they did in that Big 12 championship game, that forced them to move them down below Miami. And now they have to look at Miami and Notre Dame head to head. Even though that was stupid, Miami should have always been in over Notre Dame, but always. But they were really trying to do everything they could to not have to do that.
oh, agreed. They were looking. They were like, okay, because at the end of the day, this is a business. At the end of the day, they're like, okay, we have Notre Dame, we have, like you said, the huge Catholic following, and we got Miami. I mean, the fan base is not as big as it once was. I'll say that it's a big fan base,
Well,
but
they
it's
were at
not.
home in the national championship game and were outnumbered by Indiana fans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not as big as that's crazy. By the way, it's not as big
Right?
as it once was. But like you said, the head to head matter. They were like most Miami fans. They're petty. Like, oh, the convicts. We got the Catlins this time. If you know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. By the way, what a game that was. What a
Oh, that
game
great game.
was it? And, you know, I think that Miami giving up the run game, getting away from the run game so quickly, they got a little behind. But to be honest with you, and the people that are blaming it all on Carson Beck, I'm like, bro, are you guys paying attention? It wasn't on him. They wouldn't have been in the game if not for Carson Beck. You know, that punt block was stupid. That was obviously that they'd been running that little pooch punt thing where the punter runs out of the block out of the blocking edge and tries to kick that or whatever and just place it in a certain place. They had clearly seen that on film somewhere and were ready for that shit. That turned into a touchdown for them. They kept coming back anyway. Now I'll say that Carson Beck, that touchdown, that interception at the end there, you got to throw that ball deep. You can't throw that on the line. You got to throw that to where the dude's going to run underneath it. That's the only way that you can make that throw. But I thought it was the bigger thing was that they had some mistakes here and there, and that they just weren't running the ball. And I think that their offensive line had not shown that you can't run the football. They hadn't been stopped really. They just weren't doing it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't get the OC. Shannon Dawson. I don't. If it's working, is working. Then you have the advantage because Miami has a massive offensive line, and
They were
they
big, bro.
prove
Big.
right. No, it's funny thing. I think one of their offensive tackles. I don't know if one was a freshman or not. I'm not really sure, but Miami recently. He'll probably be playing next year. I saw him in high school. He went to Zachary, and I was like, so you walk in. I'm like, who the hell is that tackle? They're like, oh, he's going to Miami. I'm like, oh my Jesus. Like I've seen a couple of plays you have to over your life where you're like, oh, that's a Sunday player. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like him, like the tackle, I forgot his name, and Trey Dance Green, the big tight end, they both played on the same high school team. So when you
Mhm.
walk in, it's like the first two people you see, you're like, yeah, I don't know how we gonna stop them. Like they were
Well,
just
yeah, if you look at their offensive line with Markel Bell, like they had hold on just a second, let me pull this up here. Markel Bell, 6'9", 340.
yeah,
That was their left tackle.
crazy,
They had
crazy.
their left guard was 6'6", 290. That's Matthew McCoy, but he was under 300 pounds, but he could beat you to death still. And then they had the center James Brockemeyer. I mean, that guy's 6'3", but that's what you would expect out of centers. But their guard. Let's see this. Who was their right tackle was a junior, Francis Magua,
Okay.
6'6", 315. The guy you're talking about was Max Buchanan, right? Freshman.
Yeah, out of Zachary, out of Gonzalez, probably.
I want to say that's right.
Yeah, Gonzalez, Louisiana. Yeah, I
Well,
saw him.
maybe
Yeah,
not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Hold on, real quick.
maybe not. 'Cause I
Left.
don't know.
No, no,
I
no.
know they have like a massive offensive line group as a whole, though.
They had a redshirt freshman from Jacksonville. No, I don't know. I'm not seeing them. The both of the guys that I just talked about are. Let me see.
I don't know. Maybe he switched that, and I must have missed that. But that happens nowadays with kids. Like,
Yeah, no doubt.
but
They definitely have some
like,
young
but
guys though.
Miami as a whole, they like have like they're just massive offensive line with like the shortest offensive line coach you'll ever
Shoot.
see. But he gets the best out of them.
Hmm.
Right. And like
Yeah.
and for all the flack, because Mario Cristobal, he got a lot of flack. People thought he couldn't coach or anything like that. To get this Miami team to the 10 seed, a 10 seed, making to the a game away from a title. I mean, you got to get a man his due.
Yeah.
But Signetti, they just on a different level. Like,
Yeah. Well, what they did. I mean, look, what they did was they stuck to what they were good at. I mean, they weren't going to make a bunch of mistakes. And I got for as much as Fernando has been, he was very coming into the game. Obviously, it was all about being, he wasn't having any incompletions. They weren't even really, it was a lot of they just doing things really well, running the football, and they were committed to the run. At another game where they had 45 rush attempts in this game, Miami only had 21. Um, when you look at that, just on the face of it alone, that allowed them to do what they needed to do. And then for Fernando, he had some moments where he wasn't at his best, but what he did, that touchdown run at the end of that game, at the end of that series where he breaks through those tackles and finds a way into the end zone. Holy shit. That cemented him as he's a tough guy now. He makes good plays. He was throwing the ball well. He didn't put the ball in danger. They're going to play really good, but they're going to stick with what they know they're good at, which is we're going to run the ball, we're going to be efficient, and we're going to play good defense, and we're going to make you beat us doing things that we're going to get pressure on you unless you're running the football well, and if you stop running the football, then we're going to get that pressure, and that's what I think hurt Miami more than anything was that they got away from the run game too much. I thought Carson Beck was good though, I really did.
yeah, he that last throw, I was like, I think it was going to be a pick whether he overthrew because they had it double covered up. Like they just had the safety under playing, safety over top, and the other guy, he basically playing cover three. They just hit it. They just disguised it. I don't know if he got
Mhm.
fooled, but that throw was a bad throw, regardless. But I think he really got fooled because as soon as he threw it, I think he knew he was like, oh, I messed up. So, but
Yeah, I
like,
wouldn't have put. I also feel like yeah, they did bait him into the throw, right? I think he
yeah,
got baited into it a little bit, but that's where a really good coordinator, you got to be talking him through that. I mean, if you're running that play, and at that time, that's something you better have been talking about for the last couple of weeks. And look, this is the look they may give you, no matter what, you need to throw this deep and we need to run under it. Don't put that in harm's way. Because that ball could have been thrown to where either the receiver catches it or it's out of bounds. That's
Right.
it. And unless you do that, and I think that on a first down especially, there's no way that you're not having that conversation with him coming out off the sideline. If that's the
Oh,
call that you're
easy.
making, right? I mean, that's the call you're making coming off the sideline. I mean, you're talking to him about that. Look, this is we're gonna try to get this play, but you can only throw it two places, out of bounds or he catches it. Only he can catch this ball. It's got to be that. And for him, so yeah, did he get baited into the throw? He got baited into the throw. But obviously they weren't talking about that and running through all the things that could happen there, right?
Right.
I don't know, man.
That I was like, because I've actually seen Oklahoma disguise people with that. It was like a few years ago. I think Kendall Dobie had called a pick over that. He didn't line up on the hash mark per se. He like you line just like maybe an inch or two off the hash mark, so they think it's cover one. Then you just bail out. I'm like, oh, I've seen this before. But Carson, like I said, he got fooled somehow. But like
Yeah,
Miami's running game, like Fletcher's a dog, man.
yeah,
Fletcher and
no doubt.
Tony for Miami. Oh man, they're really
Malachi
like
Tony's gonna
Tony.
be a
Oh
woo.
man, bro, that dude is unreal. Like I think it was that a 2 point or a touchdown they scored. I was like, wait a minute, these people coming out in the wing. It was like old wing T formation, and they scored on. I was like, yes, that's old school football. I was like, yeah, I like it. But Tony's different, man. He's different.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, Crazy Zay, it says seventh year player, and we need to tell him about the zone. Hey, bro, that's a fair
right,
point. That's a fair point. But the point I'm making is that you gotta. I mean, come on, bro. At that point of the game, come on, bro. You gotta. I don't care who you are. You need to talk to him about it. That's the point. Tony had Beck looking decent to folks. Malachi Tony's a bad dude, man. There's no two. 17 years old, bro. 17. He
that's
still ain't turned
crazy.
18 yet.
Like, wait, he
Next up.
can't even enter the draft till he's like what 20, 19 or something.
Yeah, man. No, he's got third year in. So
That's crazy.
he'll get through his junior year and he's out. There's no two ways around it. But you got to play 3 years or be in college for 3 years. So
Right.
yeah,
Like,
he's
but
definitely
17 though. 17. Like
yeah. I
he's
know. I
doing
get
that
it.
to grown men. Like he's
The
making
grown
grown
ass
men
men.
look ridiculous.
In particular, this group of grown ass men because those dudes were old.
Oh, them dudes old.
They're old.
Like
Yeah.
someone. I think that someone's like the I don't know
Average
who.
age is
Some NFL
23.
team is like younger than that whole Indiana team, which I thought was pretty funny in
Not
itself.
younger, but close. So they were talking about Green Bay's average age is like 25, and Indiana's is 23.
I
So,
thought it was
I mean, it's
24.
right there close by, man. Right there close by. It's good stuff. Did Beck graduate? Is he coming back? He's done. That's it. He'd already graduated, but that was a one and done year.
I mean, the man said I ain't go to class in 2 years. What you mean?
He been chilling. Hey, but I think the guy's gonna be. Look, it is what it is. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I think that Carson Beck's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I get it. I'm just saying that I don't think it was his fault that they lost this football game.
Oh, no,
I don't like hearing people put it all off on him. But
don't
I
tell
think
no
that
Georgia fan that.
I think that I know the coaching staff though deserves more heat for that shit.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you got to run the ball, and that's not just a Miami. That's like anybody. Like for OU, run the damn ball.
Oh, thank God, thank
Run,
you. Yes, yeah. Hey,
run.
run the football. And your running game with the quarterback is not your run. That's not running the ball. You got to be committed to a real true running game with your running backs if you're going to win. And I think that
Yeah, yeah,
expecting
yeah.
a guy like John Mateer to be your leading rusher and to run the ball more all the time and be able to carry you as an offense throwing the ball as well. It's a terrible game plan in the SEC. You're going to get him hurt just like they did And now, like I said before, now if you do that this year, who you got to back him up?
No,
We're gonna go
a
with the
bunch of
freshman.
a bunch of question marks. That's what you got. Like
Yeah,
Jason, man, we've had this conversation. Me and you, you're preaching to the choir here. We were people thought we were crazy. Talk about this. What was it after that Texas game? And I was like, man, it was bad. Like, and to me, this is just me. I might be the crazy one, but like compared to like Mateer, I know he can't run. Like he's actually when you see him run, like compared to SEC, he's very slow. Like speed wise, game speed wise, like no, he can't run away from most of these guys.
yeah.
Like there's like there's not many. I mean, it's
Bro.
weird that you can like you have defensive ends running 4.4s and some run 4.3, which is mind boggling to me. That
In
is
the
insane.
NFL, they can all do that shit. That's the thing. Is like
Right.
we were talking about Caleb Williams last year at some point and talking about him going into the NFL. The reason that he did what he did, and it really didn't work that well at SC the last year that he was there because he was freelancing to the point that he was kind of getting them in trouble. But he was able to do that shit in the college level because there's not a lot of dudes that were as athletic as he is. Now, granted, he's still one of the great athletes in the NFL, but there's a lot of dudes that play edge and play linebacker and stuff like that are probably even faster than Caleb is.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
So you're not going to get away with doing that shit. And I think Caleb took a step forward this year as a player by sticking in the pocket and doing things within the, or if you're rolling out of that pocket, you're still looking down the field instead of trying to run. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I
Yeah,
think
like
he did a lot more than that. Yeah, Mateer
yeah,
doesn't
like
have
if
enough
he's
giddy up for that shit.
no, like for like if he stays in the pocket, he's good. Like because eventually you can't run forever in the NFL. They're going to figure out.
Mm.
Like I ain't gonna lie, he made some throws this year. I was like, well, goddamn.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It reminded that game, the game that they lost right at the end. He made a throw that
right.
reminded you of the Marvin Mims throw.
Oh, that throw, that's one of the best throws I've ever seen.
Yeah, it reminded you of the Marvin Mims throw. That he hit him in the Red River game. Stepping into the line and just ripping it like that, and he hits that little spot that only it was only going to be Marvin that caught it. Tight
Right.
window.
It's
It was
it's either
unbelievable.
Marvin or nobody.
Yeah, that's it.
Now
And that's what you
I
have to
got a
do.
question. I don't know. Yes. Okay, so how many receivers do you think catches over 20 passes this year?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know that we had a ton of them. So you probably had what, 3 that did that this year? Over 20,
Probably four,
maybe.
probably maybe four
You can go look. Let me take a look.
because you got Satania, you
Satania
had
for sure. I'd say
you had
Canic.
Kaepernick.
Offensive stats.
Did Jermichael get over 20?
I don't
I
think
feel like
so.
if he didn't, he was like right on the cut. Uh,
He didn't play a whole lot though.
I
Let me
think
see.
she should have played more, but that's just me.
hmm Well, the
Like,
thing was they didn't have a rotation.
yeah, that's also what I'm getting at. Like, do you think there's going to be more of a rotation this year?
So there
Because
was there was 4 guys that had 20 or more. Keontae Lewis had 21, Canic had
wow,
44, Burks had 57, and Satania had 67. But then you had Giovanni had 18, X Rob had 15, Jermichael had 9.
Giovanni was
Tory
hurt. We all
Blacklock
know that.
Tory Blaylock had 13. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with double digit receptions. But
Still not enough, really. If you really like look at it in a
well, they didn't,
big
but they didn't
bottle.
rotate them. They didn't rotate
Right,
them, man. If whoever started the game was in the game.
right, right. That's what I was getting at. Like, what the receivers that they have now, like, because you can make. I don't know if you agree that it's better than last year. Uh, but like I think you have what you can play at least 6 guys with the talent we have on this team. At least 6, no
Yeah.
more than
Well, and that's why, from everything that I've heard, Jim Nagy's been very adamant that they spent enough money in the portal and in the high school ranks for receivers that he wants to see more of those dudes playing, so we can find out who they got. They're not going to keep spending big dollars for these kids and not having them play. And so having Carry On come back, I think there's a reason for that. You're going to have to expect that he's probably going to play. But yeah, Carter, Jermichael, Satania, Parker Livingston, Trey Harris. I don't know.
Elijah, we got to really see what Elijah time it is. We got to see.
We
I've
better
heard
find
nothing
out
but
about
great
Elijah.
things.
I want to hear. I want to watch Elijah and Manny Choice too,
Right,
because
Manny
we've heard
Choice.
that they've done nothing but make plays throughout practice and stuff like that. So, Trill Harris, I think, is going to be. You're going to have to expect that he's going to play quite a bit. But I would think that they didn't bring Ivan Carry On back for nothing when he's
Right.
6'7". I want to see more of him. I mean, obviously they paid Parker Livingston. He's coming. They're gonna. Isaiah Satania has to play. Trill has to play. But I think that, and with those tight ends, I mean, we'll see kind of how that all works itself out. But I feel like you can. What they probably should do with Carry On is make him a tight end and be more of a pass catching tight end to supplement in with those guys that they got from Tennessee, Florida, and then Rocky Beers coming from Colorado State. What a great name for a football player, by the way.
Yeah,
Rocky
yeah,
Beers. Love that name.
yeah. It's pretty awesome. Like
Yeah.
when we get to the end, the red zone, first of all, like there's no reason we shouldn't score because you can put if you're Ben Harbaugh, you can be like, oh, I could just go Ivan,
Yeah.
Beers,
Yeah.
Parker Livingston. Like you're like, oh, everyone's over like 6'3".
Hayden Helms. Hayden Helms is freaking 6'7"
Right,
also.
right. Like you can
Like,
literally put
bro,
on the
what are
end
you doing?
zone like you can literally go across the board like no one shorter than 6'2", and like you're either going to hold, you're either going to pass interference, touchdown, or you're going to drop the ball. If you throw it out of bounds, you're an idiot. Like it should be no excuse at that point. Like when you
No,
get to the red zone.
they got to be better though. They got to be better. And you know what? Run the football, man. Run the football. You do that, you open so much up. If you're 55-45 split on percentages for run game, and we're talking running back run game for the passing game, if you do a 55-45 split, you will have a lot of receivers get open and get to go. It'll help John Mateer have time to watch and look over the field and not just be running out of clean pockets and doing. I mean, look, guys, you know me. I'm just gonna say it out. You can tell I'm not the biggest damn fan of John Mateer. I don't believe in him like a lot of people do at
Oh, I
all. I just
know.
don't believe in him.
Hey, I'm not. I told my brother. My brother, he's like a big Oregon fan or whatever. I was like, hey, your quarterback's better than mine. It's not a debate here. He was like, bro, what's wrong with you? I said, I don't like our quarterback. He looked at me. He was like, what? I said, I love OU, but I do not like the quarterback. I can't like me and you on the same wavelength. I don't. Ben Arbuckle, he's got another year for me to see if this works. Like all this talent on this team, like we should. Like if we go out in the first round again, I think it would be a disappointment. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Like our schedule, like we could say the schedules, but we don't know what these other teams are going to be like until we play them. We really don't know.
No.
Like, do
Well,
I
no,
think
and
Georgia's going to be good? Yes, I do think Georgia's going to be good.
on paper, the schedule looks like it could be easier. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Me and Dent were talking about
Right.
this yesterday, and if you look at it, I mean, Kentucky with Will Stein, they're gonna play some offense. If they have any defense left, you got to go on the road there. Florida at Florida, I don't care who the hell the coach is there, and I really like their coach. That's a hard
Oh,
place to go and win is in the swamp. You got to go on the road to Georgia, on the road to the swamp. You got Texas again. You know, some of these teams, I look at Kentucky, you look at South Carolina, even though you get them at home, now they got Kendall Briles running their offense, and you've got a guy that could very well be a freaking unbelievable good player this third year of being a starter. Look, it worries me. Lenore Sellers is a bad dude, and if
it's a
they
bad.
find a way to do things pretty well, South Carolina can be a pain in the ass. Look, every even number year, they've been able to be pretty good under Beamer. Now, I'm not a Beamer guy. Anybody who watches this show knows I'm not a Beamer guy. But
Right.
with bringing in Kendall in that offense, and they're gonna put points on the board. They are. And Lenore Sellers, you put him
Hey,
in the right situation, he could be unstoppable.
he is he's one of those rare occasions. You don't find people like him. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't come around. You can't go pick Lenora Sellers off a tree like that. They just don't. They're not built like
Bro,
that.
he's
Like
very Cam
he
Newton
was
like.
gonna be Georgia by himself.
He's very
He
Cam Newton like, bro. Very Cam
right.
Newton like.
Like he had Georgia like literally like, okay, I got you. Then his team just like they just let him down. Like he was really like giving Kirby smart nightmares. Like
Yeah.
in the daytime. And I
Yeah.
just don't know how. I mean, I rewatched the game, but I know how it happened, but it shouldn't have happened. Then Kentucky, I think Kentucky's gonna be a surprise because Will Stein, and also he kept their defensive coordinator, who Kentucky's always been good for defense. So
Yep.
you kept the same coordinator, Will Stein, he can coach some offense. I think they're gonna be good. Georgia is
Yeah.
Georgia.
You know
Like,
they're
do I
gonna have
think
a quarterback now. You know they're gonna have a quarterback because they've had 3 straight Heisman finalists under Will
that's crazy?
Stein.
That
You
is
know?
that is
So they're gonna get quarterbacks. Look, am I saying I think they're gonna win the natty? No, I don't.
no, no,
But I think that they're gonna be they're dangerous. That's a dangerous football
no,
team. Look,
no.
if Austin Simmons comes in and they put the right kind of weapons around him with their running game at Mizzou, Mizzou can be a pain in the ass, and you got to go on the road for that one.
Right. Yeah. Who was that?
We should beat
Then
the
they
shit
lose.
out of
Then
them, but
Mizzou.
still,
Right. Then Mizzou lose. They like OC.
yeah. But I think again, I think that they'll
No, I'm just
Drink
saying like not
does
many
things the way
people
he
run
does it,
that.
so he's going to get a guy that's going to do things the way he wants to do it, and the way they run the football, I think they're going to be on paper. Next year's schedule is easier than this year, says Stephen G. Yeah, on paper, but it
Right.
may not be. It may not
Like
be.
we
Again,
like we really don't know. We
yeah,
don't know what the other team's injury. We just don't know. And like Mizzou wise, like yeah, a drink likes that zone running scheme, which if you don't know how to guard against it, it'll give you nightmares. So I think Austin
yeah,
Simmons, he Austin Simmons, I think he's a good player to me. To
he's
me,
going to
he's
be
a
the
good player.
best passer they've had. He's going to be the best passer they've had in 3 years.
Yeah,
He's going to be
yeah.
the best
Going back,
passer they've had in 3 years, without a doubt.
the best passer since what? Since Drew Lock was there.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he's better than the last two guys. I mean, Pribula, I didn't think much of him, but I mean, and I think he may have been a better player at some point this year than what he was last year. But I think that Austin Simmons was an upgrade for them. And then yeah, I think no. What do you mean nobody knows who their quarterback is, bro? Georgia being tough and nobody knows what their dude. They've got their starting quarterback from this year coming back. What do you mean? Georgia is they're not losing anything. They're the number one team. I'm gonna be finishing the edit stuff on the SEC. And by the way, for I'll be putting out that SEC gauntlet show, the second half of that from the other day. I had to get out of town before I got snowed in. Gunnar Stockton, yes, Gunnar Stockton, crazy. He'll be back, and then but what I'm saying is we're gonna be also the second part of that is we're gonna me and Coach Dent have our SEC power rankings coming up. We both have Georgia at number one. I'll just let you know. So
You won't hear no argument from me.
yeah, I think
I mean,
Georgia with him,
I mean,
he was
right. Last time I checked, Kirby Smart's still over there.
yep. And their defense got better as the year went along. They didn't lose a ton in the portal. They didn't grab a bunch in the portal. That's not how they roll. But they got better throughout the season. I think that the it sucked for them. It sucked. I feel like you had a better chance of beating Miami and Indiana with Georgia than what you were going to have with Ole Miss, just because Ole Miss didn't tackle very well. Offensively speaking, Ole Miss was legit. No way around it. They were legit.
Yeah, Yeah, they had running back and receivers plural and a
Oh
quarterback.
yeah, man. Oh yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
Trinidad Chambliss was unreal good, unreal
yeah,
good. That just, I mean, and think about that. Austin Simmons was expected to be that guy, and when he got hurt in that second game, he lost his damn job because Trinidad came in and was like, "Sheesh." Yeah, yeah. Catch him
yeah.
early. Yeah, maybe. And look, early in the year, maybe you go in there and catch a game and win in Athens. I would tell you that the only team that's won a game in Athens for the last like 7 years is Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say. I don't really know what else to say. So it is what it is, you know.
That's a hard place to play.
It is. It
Not,
is.
not many people. I mean, most. I'm not gonna say most SECs, but they got some SEC places where you go in there, you're like, I don't know how the hell we gonna win this game. Georgia is definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, back in the day when I don't know, depending on if it was a night game, Auburn can get a little weird. Just a
Auburn,
weird
and then of
place.
course LSU the same. I think
And
the swamp is good for day or night. That you can.
I,
It's a
I,
tough
I'll
place to
never,
win there.
I will never forget. I went to my first LSU game. Oh my god, I thought the hype was fake. I thought it was fake. Shit. They
Yeah.
played Auburn. At the time, they played Auburn at a night game. At the time, my principal, my old principal, her son played. He played tackle for Auburn. Uh, and she was like, "Want some tickets?" We're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go see LSU." Man, my brother tried to talk to me. I couldn't hear him. He was right next to me, and I couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
That place, it's so people think no, it's true. It's very true. LSU, it really gets loud.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm
Nine
lucky that
degrees, folks.
nine.
9 degrees.
Oh, no. I'm like we haven't. Like it's not cold. They say Monday is supposed to be cold, but I don't believe. I don't know. I don't believe them.
Where
I
are
gotta
you
see
at?
it to believe.
Where are you at,
I'm in
Al?
New Orleans. I'm in New
You're in
Orleans.
Norman. Okay. Oh, New
New-
Orleans. Okay. Okay.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
NOLA.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. New
So
Orleans.
where's
Now
the?
I'm seeing. Now my friends calling me talking about some. Hey, you seen Lane Kiffin going around the city? I'm like, he ain't got no choice.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
he ain't got no damn choice. It was like you seen. I was like, look here. Come my coach. I know a lot of coaches schools he went to. It was like, yeah, he's cool for now. I was like, yeah, for now, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I was like, he ain't got no choice but to get around him. But I think LSU's not even going to be that good. That's just me. That's just me. But hey,
Well, hey
I
man,
don't
I
think they're
appreciate you
going to.
calling in. I'm gonna call it, man. Been going almost 2 hours, but I appreciate you coming in.
All right, now, Brown, man, appreciate you, man.
All right. Have a good one. All right, Al.
All right.
All right, guys. Yeah, Liberty Liberty. Thanks for coming in. What's in Osage's Winter Wonderland? He says. Yeah, it's cold, folks. It is freaking cold. 14 degrees there. Whew. It's stupid. I got out of there thinking, oh, I need to get away. And I was trying to protect the camper more than anything. It's parked over here doing the same shit, freezing and in the snow. As you guys saw, I have the snow up there. I'll show you that once again if you hadn't already seen it. Some wild shit, man. So this is just walking out of the house at about 10, taking the dog out. Before I took the dog out, it was crazy. Crazy, crazy. It's a lot of snow for New Mexico, man. The new truck. Big snowflakes, too. That was the main thing about it. It was big ass snowflakes. But all right, guys. One of the main things I was coming on here was let everybody know to look for that other the other half of that SEC Gauntlet show from Thursday. I'll be releasing that probably in the morning at some point. Ooh. Did you just say minus 12, Stevie G? Ooh. Mm-mm. 4 degrees in Northwest Oklahoma. -1 for Sunday night. Yikes. Yeah, it's 9 degrees here. It said it feels like 0. This is not what I'm used to. I should have went to fucking Vegas. What was I thinking? Wind chill. Yeah. Screw that. But yeah, be looking for that tomorrow night. Though we will be on live as well tomorrow night with Marcus Dent. So long as everything works out the way it should, we should have a few guests from around the SEC talking about different subjects. One of them that we'll be bringing up, does Indiana belong in the conversation of greatest all-time college football championship teams? We'll talk about that a little bit. Some of the other stuff I was looking at, kind of bringing up just preliminary. The remaining at 12 teams now, all four Power Four champions obviously are going to get in. So it doesn't matter what their record is, by the way, but I would think that would probably get fixed at the conference level. But Notre Dame's also guaranteed that bid. Dabo, we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, as well, and about the greater good of all that. It would have tore through the camper. No shit. Yeah, it's not really windy, so it hadn't been really bad here. But and I'm not in it. I'm in the house, so it's not as big a deal. But I don't have any water running in it or anything like that, so it should be okay. But anyway, yeah, it's still cold though. Still cold. But yeah, make sure you guys check us out tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time, right here on Hall of Fame College Football. It's also on the Gridiron Insight and then Ole Miss 365 as well. Make sure you guys get over there and check all that out. Appreciate everybody coming in. We'll catch you all on the next one.